This is my iPhone 14 Pro that I daily drive and I absolutely love it. But there's just some things that drive me up the wall with the iPhone, so let's talk about them. Before I start though, I have to say that I've been using an iPhone ever since the iPhone 4 and I've enjoyed every second of it, so this video is obviously not going to be about micro SD slots and stuff like that. So let's get into the things that I actually dislike about this thing. One of the most frustrating features is the Jiggle Mode. As soon as you start to move one icon, every other icon starts shifting, making it incredibly frustrating to organize your home screen the way you want. This random movement of icons boils my blood every time. Why can't I just place an icon where I want without it collapsing my whole screen? The thought alone of having to move icons around gives me headaches on the iPhone, so I stopped doing that altogether. Every time I download a new app, I just straight up delete it from the home screen and I search it up in the spotlight whenever I need it. Another issue that I have with the iPhone is that every time I search for an address in Safari, it always pulls Google Maps instead of Apple Maps. When you try to copy the address, it often results in accidentally opening Google Maps again. And even when you manage to copy something, it copies the whole website but the address, so you can't even paste it properly. This just drives me up the walls. Every time I search for an address in Safari, I just basically have to remember the address, go into Apple Maps, and then just type it manually in, because there's just no way to open the Apple Maps whenever you Google something. Why Apple Maps isn't a standard on the iPhone is just beyond me. Obviously, Google is paying Apple for that, but at least give me the option to open Apple Maps whenever I try to search for an address. Everybody loves AirDrop, right? That magical experience that only Apple users are allowed to have. Well, guess what? It never works. I wish it would for once. Better yet, every time someone is trying to airdrop you something and it doesn't work, the first thing they'll ask is your airdrop turned on for everyone? Like, why isn't it just on and off? And what's the point of the option airdrop only for contacts if it doesn't even recognize my contacts? For context, I live with my girlfriend, and every time she's trying to airdrop me something, my phone is like, and tell me, why did Apple decide that AirDrop should stay active for only 10 minutes? Why was this ever changed? I hate the fact that Apple decides for me that I only get 10 minutes, so I have to actively go and turn on AirDrop every time I need to receive something, as if it's actually going to work anyway. Sometimes it doesn't even work between my iPhone and my iPad, and they both share the same Apple ID account. More like single tasking on a good day. Tell me, what's the point of 8 gigs of RAM and Apple A17 Bionic Pro Max and whatnot if it can't even upload files in the background? It just can't. Imagine you want to upload something to the cloud or send a video to your friend, and then you receive a message from another app, so you switch the app. An hour later you open the uploading app only to find out it never uploaded or sent anything. How does that make you feel? Damn. If you have to send a large file over, you just sit there and stare at the app until it finishes, and God forbid you leave the app or the screen turns off because it's not gonna upload anything. Damn. Imagine you're watching YouTube, get a text from Instagram, so you go to Instagram, answer that, and then go back to YouTube, and the whole app just reloads for no reason. The multitasking today is the same as it was presented back in 2010 with the iPhone 4. Sometimes I wonder if Apple themselves use iPhones. The iPhone is just too heavy. If you hold it in your hand for longer than 15 minutes, it starts digging into your fingers and it feels uncomfortable. While the iPhone was getting heavier each year, everybody was saying that they liked the weight because it gives the iPhone a luxury feeling. And with that statement, I agree to some extent, but it's got to a point where it's just too heavy. Like, the iPhone 12 Pro was heavy enough and the 14 and 14 Pro just got heavier. I know the iPhone 15 Pro lost some weight because of a titanium chassis, but it's still too heavy. It needs to lose more weight. What I also dislike about the design is that most of the features of the Pro iPhone are software locked in the base model iPhone. So let's say if I want Pro RAW or lock, these features are just software locked in the base model iPhone, so I have to buy the the heavier phone despite them sharing the same CPU. And for me, the worst part is not even that. Like, I wish the Pro models got at least some colors. Maybe I want a pink or a blue iPhone, but I can't get the base model because the Pro features that I need are software locked on the base model, and the Pro model doesn't offer any colors, just some boring muted silver and white shades. I wish they at least kept the gold option. I know titanium is hard to paint, but while the iPhone was made of stainless steel, it still lacked colors. So I wish Apple started giving the Pro iPhones just a bit more colors. Remember when Touch ID was introduced, or Face ID, or the notorious notch? They introduced something new and a lot of companies tried to copy that. Some companies are still trying to copy Face ID despite the tech being 7 years old. But can you name a recent iOS feature that everybody talked about or that made your life easier? Well, I can't, and for all I care, my iPhone could be running iOS 12 and I wouldn't notice a single difference. Like, what's new? Widgets? They don't even work properly. You click on a widget, it opens the app for you. That's not the point of widgets, Apple. Why do I have to wait 8 years for Apple to allow me to put another app instead of a camera on the lock screen? I feel like with every WWDC they introduce features that should have been on the iPhone a decade ago. Or they introduce features that nobody will use, like name drop, or features that will work only inside of the US, like iMessage. And let's be honest, reactions and scheduled texts, how are these features worth talking about at WWDC? WhatsApp and Telegram had these features when they launched a decade ago, and Apple just introduces this as groundbreaking features at WWDC. I just wish Apple would introduce some meaningful features that everybody can use. I know they introduced Apple Intelligence this year, which is a cool feature, but it doesn't even work on the iPhone 15, and it's not even going to be out in the beta. So we have to wait for the official release and we'll see how it works. I don't have much to say about it. It works fine. The only problem I got with it is that it turns off the 120Hz on the Pro model when activated, and it makes my eyes bleed, so I never use low power mode even if my iPhone is on 1%. So I guess my complaint is that low power mode is useless on the Pro models. Every time I'm connected to my AirPods and I want to send a voice memo, it always uses the internal mic of the AirPods. Needless to say, the mic of the AirPods is horrible. So every time I need to send a voice memo, I have to pause the music, turn off Bluetooth so my AirPods disconnect, send the voice memo, then reconnect to my AirPods and hit play again. And sometimes I have to do that multiple times because usually a conversation doesn't end with one message. Every time I'm with my girlfriend, Find My notifies me that someone's AirPods are following me. And as I said, I live with my girlfriend, so it has to know that these AirPods have always been around. And God forbid I leave my AirPods in the car for a minute. It's gonna spam me with notifications that I forgot my AirPods somewhere. And the worst part of it, there's no way to turn this off. That's it for the things that I hate about the iPhone. As you can see, I couldn't even find 10 things that I dislike about the iPhone. Some problems are major, like the multitasking one, for example, but most of them are not that big and I can live with. Obviously, the things that I like about the iPhone far outweigh the things that I dislike about it, so I keep using one. If you have some things that you dislike about the iPhone, leave them down in the comments below. I'm very interested to read them. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button, consider subscribing for more tech videos, and I'll see you in the next one.